Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of writing exponential functions. This is standard A.9C in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 38 of the 2021 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we have a table representing points on a graph of an exponential function. That's going to be very helpful because we know that exponential functions, our standard form here is y equals a times b to the x. So what do each of these terms mean? Well, your a is going to be, if you are dealing with money or compound interest, it's your principal. More generally, you can say it's your starting amount, your initial amount. What are we starting with? Since we're dealing with a table and easily could turn this into a graph, we can also view this as our y-intercept. How do we know that? Well, y-intercept is what's the y value when x equals 0. Look what happens to this up here when I make x equals 0. I'm going to make it b to the 0 because that x equals 0. Well, anything to the 0 power is just going to be 1, so a times 1, which is just a. So when x equals 0, y equals a. So that's very helpful to know. And then your b is going to be your rate. It's going to be a growth rate if we are increasing. It is going to be a decay rate if we are decreasing. And this growth rate is if it's greater than 1. The decay rate if it's less than 1. And then this x is simply going to be your steps. Could be time, could be months, years. In this case, there's no context. So the step, as you see here, it's always a +1. So this would be super simple if we could start out by finding our a. We need an x equals 0. But take a look at our table. X doesn't have a 0. But what if we were to extend it? What if we were to add 2 rows going backwards? Right? Well, in order to do that, we need to find the b first, the rate. So how we find the rate when we're dealing with an exponential function, as long as the steps are 1, which they are, what we can do is we can take our f of x or our y. So let's take our final one, 182.25, and you divide it by the previous one. Divide it by 121.5. And you can do it for every single one. Equals 121.5 divided by 81, which equals 81 divided by 54, which equals 54 divided by 36, which all equal 1.5. So that's our growth rate since it's larger than 1. 1.5, and since look at our options here, we can just go ahead and call it as a fraction 3/2. So that's our b term, is that growth rate. Okay? So what we can say here is x equals 1, right? Then we know that the f of x is going to be it's going to have to multiply that by 3/2 to get to 36. So we can say 36 equals 3/2 divided by whatever our x is, right? And then, so how do we flip that? Well, we just multiply both sides by 2/3, right, to kind of cancel that out. So what is 2/3 of 36? Well, that is going to be 24. So 2/3 of 26 is going to be 36 is 24. Then we do the same thing. We need 2/3 of 24, right? And that is going to get you 16. So 16 now is our a. So a equals 16, our b equals 3/2. We put those together, and we've got it right here as f, and that's our answer.